Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a brand new edition of the Hockey Happy Hour. We are live in our own personal little studios, and we are live on a2dradio.com. I am Matt Sestudi, along with the broken one, Rob Povia.
What's up, people? I'm a flipping mess today. This show's going to be a lot of fun.
And today we are brought to you by, as always, Specialized Physical Therapy, Dr. Paul Vidal. You can find him in Cherry Hill, Burlington, and Princeton, New Jersey. If you have any aches and pains, go to Mr. Dr. Paul Vidal, and he'll take care of all that for you. And you can find him at www.specializedphysicaltherapy.com. Don't suffer with aches and pains. Get them taken care of. And we got Ritz already chiming in saying, have a great show, guys. Thank you, Ritz. Catch him on In This Very Ring. And he was on Lazy Booking this past Tuesday, as that is now, for now, a Tuesday show. And you can check him out on those two programs. And we got Chuck's chiming in. What's going on, man?
Chucks, what's happening, people? Chiming in. Appreciate it. There
Absolutely.
he is. A little bit delayed for you.
You can catch him on Birds of a Feather. All right, then. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, the Stanley Cup Finals have finally arrived. It took a little while. We had a long period where we weren't even sure if we were going to get a Stanley Cup Final. But the hockey gods parted the seas. They managed to get all the stars aligned and made sure that the Stanley Cup playoffs happened. And we have come down to our final two teams. Were they two teams that we expected? One, yes. The other one, no. Absolutely not. And, hey, what's up, Brian?
Brian Daly had an awesome fishing trip today, man.
He did. He caught a shark. That's pretty badass. He caught a freaking shark.
The eyes on that shark is going to haunt my dreams.
Oh, you think your dreams are haunted? How do you think that shark's dreams are going right now? You might not have any more left. Oh, but anyway, yeah, so Bry was taking care of fishing out there on the high seas, so he was not here this week, but he will be back next week to kick ass and take names with us, as he usually does. And Roscoe was chiming in with Patrick Hornqvist to the Panthers. We will definitely talk about that trade, as that was a big one. And what is going on, Don? And, so Stanley Cup Finals here. Tampa Bay on the one side, on the east. We figured that at some point they were going to be here. It took them a long time to get here, though. I don't know what it was with this team, but they just found a way to choke and get themselves eliminated. It was habitual every freaking postseason. Finally, they got there. Meanwhile, Dallas absolutely did not expect this. They were not doing well. They didn't look good in the round robin, and then they just turned it the hell on and said, fuck all y'all brackets. We're going all the way to the Stanley Cup Finals.
In true Dallas fashion, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, you need a Cinderella story, and that's certainly what they've been. You know, you look at Miro Heiskanen, 6 goals on the defensive blue line, really being a good leader for that team from the blue line. You always need that on a successful playoff run. And, my boy, Yoel Kiviranta, just a strong playoff performance. I mean, he chimed in with, it was Miro that had a goal in game 3, but he's been there, for this team, game in, game out, and in case you're just joining us tonight and you didn't hear this stat, his game 7 hat trick, earlier in this playoff series hadn't been done. It was like the 7th time actually in NHL history, and he was the only rookie among those to score a hat trick in game 7, but it hadn't been done since 1993 when the great one, Wayne Gretzky, was out in LA.
Wow, that's awesome. And by the way, Heiskanen, this is his first playoff. So that's even crazier to think that he's doing all of that. And then obviously Anton Khudobin, that's a good Cinderella story right there. A guy who's been a perennial backup his entire career. But I like the fact you brought up Heiskanen because he's the one that's not always as sung, because everybody's kind of a little hypnotized by how Khudobin is like, where the hell did this come from? He's always been a backup, you know?
Right. Well, I mean, he chimed in on the score sheet, like I said last game, but he was one of the players on the Dallas Stars that did not quit in Game 3 up until the final horn. And not to say that many of the team were quitting heart-wise, but they were looking lethargic, especially in that third period. It goes to show that the Tampa Bay – what's up, Tommy?
Hey, Tom.
It goes to show that this team that's always been a skill team, and they bring the goal scorers, as I'll get through in a bit as we recap Game 3, but they bring the size this time around. That's what's been different from the past appearances that you were referencing before, Maddie. They bring the size, and they really start to wear on you, right? And you're seeing that in Game 3 of the series. That does not bode well for the Dallas Stars. And our poll question tonight is Tampa Bay is the most dangerous team in the NHL. You can agree or disagree on any of our platforms. And based on the evidence that we're seeing right now, I got to wholeheartedly agree. They play well on all facets, and you just added future Hall of Famer Steven Stamkos to your lineup.
And he scored a goal in his first playoff game, and he hadn't played a single game. Not even in the round robins or the exhibition. He didn't play in that either. And he scores a goal.
He hadn't played in a game in over 200 days due to that core injury, which I think was really the reasoning the whole time. Yeah, he did have a lower body leg injury that he picked up when he was training with the team before the round robin when he went out. But I think if it wasn't for the core situation, he would have shook that off and been playing like true hockey players do. But instead, he makes his first Stanley Cup playoffs appearance in the finals. And he became the second player in NHL history to do that, the first in 80 years, and to score a goal while skating in that game. It's just, like I said, Maddie, a lot of people think with the NBA and the NHL playoffs that they were a little contrived in this era of the pandemic or what have you, where they had to create that playoff atmosphere. Did they? When you have stories like this, and they ring true through the NBA too, certainly a lot of movements for racial equality that I've been proud to see in both sports. It's been great, and just create great stories that really are the definition of any Stanley Cup. It's why we love hockey.
Yeah, absolutely. And to actually keep forward on the Tampa Bay Lightning here, and by the way, what's up, Jake?
Hey, what's up, man?
A Philly guy for life. Saying that Lightning fan here, living here for the last 15 years with just a few years in the Northeast since. Definitely agree with the poll. Still learning the ins and outs of hockey. Hey, man, look at it this way. When you look at the ins and outs of hockey, it was a little confusing for me at first, but then I got the hang of it. You know what actually really taught me a lot was the games. The games actually teach you a lot. Not everything, because it's not exactly like that, but it teaches you what offsides are, what icing is, and it teaches you what the actual penalties are and how they could possibly happen. But that was the best teacher for me.
Tremendously. Hey, and you come to the right place. We're here to educate. It's a great sport to fall in love with.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so much fun to watch. And in terms of the poll question, you were saying you agree, Rob, and he agreed. I actually agree as well because, I look at it this way. Yeah, we all like to laugh at Tampa sometimes because of how they've underachieved. But when this team's hot and this team's going and Vazzy's in a groove and that defense is playing really well, it's very hard to put a team up against them. Look at all the top teams in the East. You got Boston. Tampa beat them in the semis. And yeah, people are going to say, oh yeah, but they didn't have Rask. Who gives a shit? With the way this team's playing, I don't think Rask would have made a difference. Maybe he would have gotten in a sixth game, but that's it. And then on top of that as well, you also have the Flyers. We struggled against them all year. We only beat them once, and that was in the round robin. There's a reason for that. That offense was very, very good for that reason. Even if we were playing as good as they were at times, they still had that one thing ahead of us. And then on top of it, Washington. Washington was a shell of itself this year, and they killed them. Tampa is probably the most dangerous team in the East, and you can argue the NHL because Colorado, they could have beaten Colorado. I mean, yeah, Colorado, young. Thanks, man. We appreciate you viewing the show and chiming in. And by the way, anybody out there who is a hockey fan, or even if you're just a sports fan or an A2D fan, feel free to chime in. Welcome to the fam if you are new, and welcome and comment in. We appreciate it. But
I'm
yeah.
surprised, Maddie. I'm surprised, honestly, because I thought you were going to go disagree. And I know you have a love affair with the Colorado Avalanche, and I know they had an earlier than expected exit in this year's playoffs, but a lot of that could be pointed towards a health issue and the manpower that they were down in that Dallas series.
Absolutely. But I think, honestly, because even though I did have Colorado going to the Stanley Cup Finals representing the West, I still had Tampa beating them at the end of the day.
Right.
You know, and I just really think, like, okay, Colorado, their window is still so wide open that it's just like their window is all the way up to the very top. Like, all the blinds are not even nearly as highly open as that window is. And I mean, that's how young they are.
Right.
Colorado is.
You bring up a tremendous point that maybe some of Tampa's superiority is more pointed towards, it's not that they're tremendously older, but they are a little older, that there's a little more impetus, a little bit, a little more jack on that cheeseburger to win now.
Yeah, and also they have some of the players that played in that 2015 Stanley Cup final, so some of them know what it's like to be in a Stanley Cup final. It's, as much as we like to say that first game jitters or first time jitters don't exist sometimes with some players, they catch up to you at some point. Like, there are bad games that young guys have. Colorado, though, this is great experience for them, and we'll talk about that more because we're going to try and dive into the other teams that aren't here right now. We're going to talk about what kind of season. Is it a successful season or is it a failed season for them? And trust me, we'll have some interesting points to bring up on that.
Best teases in the business, ladies and gentlemen. Best teases in the business.
But we got Frank Vespi chiming in. Hey, sorry to bother you at work to answer the poll. Agree. I hate them, but by God, they are dangerous. They are. Yeah, they really are. And I mean, in the West, there are a few teams that compete with them, but I still think they're better than them. Honestly, I still think there's one hole in one of those Western teams that you can pick at, whereas with Tampa, it's like their defense is playing well. They're contributing offensively. The offense is what it is. We've known that for a long time. And Vazzy's a Vezina goalie. So what more do you need?
It's the whole package. I agree. That's why I stated that opinion. Like I said, it's definitely neck and neck, when they have a healthy Colorado Avalanche team for the whole NHL. And let's not sleep on the Vegas Golden Knights. I'm sure we'll discuss them later as well.
True, and there has been talk that Fleury wants to stay in Vegas, so we'll see. We'll see what happens with their goaltending situation.
What happens in Vegas usually stays in Vegas, so.
And then Tom was saying, I miss the Flyers, by the way. We all do. We all do. Yeah, we definitely wish the orange and black was here.
First day I wore non-black, so. Plus, I love this shirt, man. Got the ladies. My aspiration of a tattoo one day,
Yeah, there you go. Have the full, have it from the chest all the way down to the ribs, basically.
Sounds good to me.
That'll be a while though. You'll be in the chair for a long time.
Especially the way my skin rejects ink. What's up, Wills?
Oh yeah, what's going on, Wills? And Tom's saying, Vegas talk. Let's take a trip.
Let's go, man. I got the hazmat suit. Let's go. I'll fit right in out in Vegas. Lots of freaks out there for sure.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's been a crazy, crazy freaking playoffs, though. And the Stanley Cup Finals have been here. Might as well dive into it now. Start with Game 1. Work our way up to 3. So, Game 1, it was a big win for Dallas. Dallas taking full advantage of the fact that Tampa had to play Game 6 and had to win it in OT against the Islanders. And, I give a lot of credit to Dallas there. You do what you got to do. You look at that situation like, hey, they had to play one more game than us. We had a little bit more rest. Let's jump on them. Let's jump on them now because they didn't waste any time getting to the Stanley Cup Finals. The NHL wanted to get this shit over with as soon as possible. You know how sometimes when you do a regular postseason, they take a few days off to get you prepped for the Stanley Cup Finals, get the advertisements ready, get you pumped up, get the teasers up on the TV and everything like that. Not this time. Literally, the series ended on Thursday. Saturday, the finals started. It was boom, right to it. And Tampa was tired, and they got caught by Dallas there in that game one.
Oh, tremendously. I mean, it's a, and Dallas has been the hot team. So they came in with that momentum. Playing with house money. No, nobody expected them to be there at this point. And yeah, quite frankly, it did catch the Lightning players off guard. They have a little tendency to get a little cocky. Let's call it like it is. You know what I mean? And rightfully so. When you're an elite team, you kind of got to skate with that edge.
Yeah, you do. And also, I think what happened was, and you're right. There's a sense of cockiness, and there's also the sense of, Dallas being the team that they are. They probably thought, okay, we can will this, we can make this happen. And for Tampa, yeah.
We're quite familiar with it in Philadelphia in Game 1 against Montreal Canadiens. Because that's exactly what happened.
Oh yeah. But apparently Matt Niskanen always stated that we didn't underestimate them. I'm like, bullshit, you did. You totally did. We all know you fucking did. Come on. Pittsburgh did the same thing. Although Pittsburgh paid the ultimate price for it. That was the only difference.
You have fooled exactly 0 people with that statement.
Yeah. Oh, but anyway, former Pittsburgh Penguin. He's used to looking down on people. But anyway, but now he's a Flyer who looks down on people. But anyway, all right. So yeah, after Game 1, Dallas gets the win. Tampa comes back with a vengeance, and they win the next game. However, though, Dallas did try to keep it. They were trying to get back into that game. It was too little, too late. By the time they started getting it within striking distance, it was the third period. Not enough time. There just wasn't enough time. Dallas was pushing, but it wasn't enough time for them.
Yeah.
Tampa held on. Strong play from them. Vazzy had some really big saves there, and they held on to their lead. And, 1 goal too many given up by Dallas at the end of the day, and they lost Game 2, and the series was all tied up. And that leads us to Game number 3. In Game number 3, Tampa absolutely said, get the fuck out of the driver's seat. This is our Stanley Cup final. And absolutely spanked them. They spanked Dallas.
It flipped the script of Game 1, for sure.
Yeah.
It was the exact polar opposite. Yep.
And the funny part of it is that it started in the first period, and it looked like, okay, is Dallas going to come back? Are they going to do something? And it didn't. Like, it literally was 1, 2, 3. It literally was 1, 2, 3 right after that. That Huddle Up podcast.
Oh no! They absolutely whipped out their dick and they spanked them with it. That's basically what happened in this hockey game. But a lot of it, like I said, that Stamkos goal coming out there and doing the roof work like he's been known to do. Set a tone. I mean, before that was Kucherov. You know what I mean? When you have one of your leaders just come out and I mean, call it like it is. Nikita's been on a scoring binge, and it just absolutely continued in Game 3. He's up to 7 goals in the playoffs now. And then later on, you have Hedman chipping in with his 10th goal of the playoffs. Palat also his 10th goal. Braden Point, if Vazzy isn't your Conn Smythe, you can give it to Braden Point, who's been just a leader on and off the ice for this hockey team out in Tampa. They've just absolutely continued their hot ways. And there's nothing that indicates to me. I mean, Dallas has been a resilient group, so can they come back and tie this? Would I be surprised if they came back and tied the series at 2? No, I would not be at all. We've seen it happen countless times against teams that were better than them. The Colorado Avalanche, the Vegas Golden Knights. But they come back and they're that true underdog team. But all that being said, based on what I saw in Game 3, Tampa takes the infamous 3-1 stranglehold on the series in Game 4, in my opinion.
Yeah. And what's up, Pete? Pete saying pivotal Game 3. It's pivotal definitely because it changed the momentum of the series, and it went right to Tampa. And Huddle Up Pod.
Smack, 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 smack.
Yeah. And now they're saying, hey, you going to do anything about it? That's what Tampa's going to say now. It's like Game 4's coming up. You going to say anything? You going to do anything? Or are you just going to take it? Right. That's what we're going to find out with Dallas here in Game 4. And Hull Up Podcast saying, I wouldn't say Tampa is the most dangerous, but if they have figured out playoff woes, look out.
Yeah. Looks like they're doing that for sure.
By the way, Brodo has a very important question. He says, should I make mac and cheese or pasta Alfredo?
Oh, absolutely the pasta Alfredo. It's not even a question.
Oh my own.
I think next week's show I'm gonna go with the true Guinea background, and I'm gonna put. I got this beautiful like hand drawn mural of like every actor from every Godfather, every mafia movie that's ever been put out, and then I got my Hollywood stars around. I got Sinatra, I got Audrey Hepburn, I got Humphrey Bogart, and Marlon Brando, absolutely the king. So that might be the backdrop of next show.
There you go.
I don't do cheeses like that guy does. I just spell it out for you.
So if we're doing this on teaser base, I'm like the trailers now where they sometimes don't reveal, like the suspenseful ones, the ones that don't reveal too much. That you got that twist coming at the end that you're least expecting, and not like a Shyamalan twist, but like a good one. And yours is kind of like those trailers you see back in like the TV spots, like in the 90s and the 80s, where they basically tell you what's about to happen, what the whole story's about and everything, and what the journey's going to be. So it's like, okay, you summarized everything for me. I guess I know what to expect.
Right.
But that's funny, though. Have you ever gone onto YouTube, though, and seen old TV commercials and just absolutely just be like, man, I don't know why I'm getting such a kick out of this, but I totally am right now, looking back and seeing this shit.
Every night.
I saw one. I was watching some old G4 programs that I was watching when I was a kid, and I saw a freaking commercial for Circuit City. Circuit City doesn't even freaking exist anymore, and I was like, oh my god, I actually remember Circuit City.
Was it These Prices Are Insane, like the crazy dude? Is that what
No, it wasn't those. It was about the fact that you could actually order online and go and pick it up. But but no, I still remember that. Like, holy shit, I actually remember when those fucking things existed, and they don't no more. That's weird.
It's like when the Sunny D commercials come on WGN late at night.
Oh, nice.
Did someone say Sunny D?
Yeah, that would be me.
Oh, my man.
I hate to say it, though, but I would always go for the purple stuff.
Yeah.
Big fan of purple grape flavor. Big fan.
Give me some grape drink, baby.
That's right. 100%.
Oh, Dave Chappelle has taught you well. Don saying Red Wings interested in Jacob Markstrom, but I don't think that's happening.
Why not?
I mean, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibilities, but it would have to. Here's the thing, though. It depends on where Vancouver's at. Is Benning really planning on doing some big explosive trades? Because he's done it in the past.
Right.
He's done it before. So it's not out of the realm of possibilities that Markstrom could wind up putting on the red and white. Is it the smartest move for Vancouver? Maybe. We'll see if Demko can pick it up. But, when it comes to, the Red Wings, getting Markstrom would be a huge thing for them because they need goaltending. So
that's what I was going to say. It fills a need. You're talking about a man that finished fourth in the Vezina Trophy considerations this season. Available free agent. Red Wings got the money. They got the money. I'm not even familiar with the salary cap, but if you look up the roster, you look at the roster, they're not paying much money, to even players like Dylan Larkin on that team. So, I think I'd expect that to happen. And it's funny too, because everybody's got an opinion about whether a player can be had. And that's my little tease for the penalty box at the end of the show.
Very well done.
I got to bone to pick with some peoples.
And we've got the Messiah 0526 chiming in. I am so happy Buffalo picked up Stahl. It's good for Buffalo, getting an experienced forward who has plenty. He's a Stanley Cup winner. He's been a captain for several years, especially obviously with the Hurricanes, and he's been a team leader when you need a team leader. So it's great for Jack Eichel to learn from him. And also, it's a chance for Eric Staal to kind of help revamp his career, which not going to say it was terrible in Minnesota, but it was kind of forgettable in Minnesota, at least in my opinion, because I kind of forgot he was there for a while. I forgot, oh shit, Eric Staal is still playing, and he is a Minnesota Wild, isn't he?
Right. I mean, he's got to have a positive impact. I mean, you're talking about just potential Hall of Famer. It's been there, done that. You know what I mean? It's going to be good for that. I'm looking up here. The fan base not exactly thrilled with the trade, though, and that's why I'm surprised. Maybe that's the nature of the question as well. And I get it. He's not the guy that makes you go 6 to midnight anymore. That just doesn't happen. You know what I mean? But he's a quality addition for a hockey team. Just to provide that much needed experience.
Yeah, absolutely. You need veteran leadership on that team. You need something on that team. Something on that Sabres team at this point. Anything to help Jack Eichel, help elevate that team to something, because they've been so bad for so long that I really don't know how. Sometimes I wonder what it would be like to either be a Panthers fan or to be a Coyotes fan or to be a Sabres fan and be a team that's always perennially not making the postseason. And going in, you're not going to make it. You're just like, we're not going to make it. That's just the way it is. It must be so weird.
Yeah, it's tough when you're a fan of the minor markets, so to speak. The non-major markets, whatever, where they don't have a lot of money to spend around. But that's where you got to change, that voice in the locker room or in that organization, and that's what they did with hiring a new general manager. And this is being his first move. So. I think, you got to, when I've seen these types of teams be successful is when they make little splashes and they add the extra pieces that you need, kind of a la when the Flyers added Grant and Thompson this season.
Yeah, good depth picks. Brodo, what did you wish to say?
Madden, it would be the same. Any of those fans of those fan bases, it would be the same as being a Philadelphia Phillies fan currently. I can relate.
I had a weird feeling he was going to say that. I mean, I've been seeing what the Phillies have been going through, and my mom has been absolutely pissed off with the way they've been pissing away their chances at the postseason this year. It's been truly unbelievable. But the Messiah also went on to say, yes, it is. I'm a diehard fan, and I just recently moved to Georgia. Well, I hope you love it down there in good old Georgia. And
good place to live, man. Low property tax. Good property. Good
nice.
Move. Good move.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very smart.
I know some people.
Yeah. But yeah.
Who have bought properties. I know some people who have bought properties. Yes.
Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah. You don't like. Yeah, I know some people make you sleep with some cement shoes. Oh, but anyway. But with that being said, though, Buffalo, there's a great chance for them to take a positive step. It's not going to be the step that. I wouldn't necessarily say that Staal makes them a playoff team immediately, but I will say that it will be the first step in the right direction to hopefully get some leadership on that team and get them going in that direction to start that process, because nothing's been there. It's just been Jack Eichel and whatever. And that's literally been it.
Truth be told, 100%. But yeah, we could get into the teams that didn't make it. I don't know if you wanted to expand upon more with the Cup Finals here for the fam tuning in. Appreciate you, love you, all the comments.
Absolutely. Well, for me, Game 3, Tampa takes charge. Rob, was there anything else that you wanted to add in?
I wanted to ask you, where do you see it going from here? Because I sort of stated my opinion on that they take that stranglehold.
I think they do. I think it goes 6. I think Dallas does rebound after going down 3-1, and I think they do push a game 6 to show what they're made of. But, I think that's the last bit of magic pixie dust they'll have. Is enough to get them to game 6, but I don't think they get any further. I think Tampa ends their 2004 onward cup drought this year.
Right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That's a well-educated proclamation or provocation, or at least prediction when it comes to how the series will wrap up. Because let's not lose sight of one thing: home ice is still important, believe it or not.
It is
for the cardboard cutouts and everybody else, but for that last change. And that's often what you see happen is when that road team, the road team comes back and ties it up at 3-2. You know what I mean? Not per se in that game, but the lower seed is what I should say. They'll make it a series of 3-2 in that game 5, and then I don't know. I don't know. I think Dallas is done. I think 5 is it. I think that's when Tampa will have last change. Actually, now that I think about it, so I think they win out here.
All right then. So you think it's Tampa all the way through? Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right then. We got Greg chiming in. What up, fellas? What's up, Greg? And he also says, I #agree to the poll for now. Then they get blown up, and it couldn't happen to a better team.
Agreed.
And then Chrome says, what's up, fellas? What's up, Chrome? May finally be the year Tampa gets over the hump. Yep. And he says, #agree to the poll. And Tropics33, hockey plus Florida equals shit. And he actually has the shit emoji too. Very nice. Very classy.
It's something we've said on the show a lot. I mean, certainly hockey does struggle out in Florida, out in the desert with Arizona. You mentioned to that point earlier, even in this show, Maddie. But I don't know. I mean, you look at what team. I mean, you're talking about a team that this is their second Stanley Cup Finals in 5 years, and are very likely to hoist this year's cup. I mean, Dallas can turn it around, but they're in a really good position taking Game 3. Like to Pete's point before, Game 3 is so pivotal.
Yeah, it is. And then, depending upon where it goes from there, that may very well determine how long this series goes. I mean, we both are pretty much in the same ballpark, even though I have it going one more game. But we're in the same ballpark of Tampa winning Game 3 pretty much takes charge of the series, and it's not going back to Dallas at any point. That's how we have it going out, even with a little difference in game length.
Right. Yeah, I got it confused on your end. You had the road team respectively winning Games 5 and Game 6, which is something you do see too. So let's not overshadow that point.
To me, I'm just looking at the way that the teams have played, and it just seems like Tampa is just. I think they feel like this is the last chance they'll get. I feel like they're playing like that, and that's a good mindset to have here because Tampa, one thing about their experience that absolutely gives them an edge over any team they face that's just a little bit less than them is, and Chrome saying sad hockey is wrapping up. Any idea when next season is expected to kick off? I heard November or January. Did get pushed back. It was originally going to be December, but that got changed. I guess it's now looking more like a January thing, but we still don't really have anything 110% confirmed. I think the NHL is just trying to get this Stanley Cup final finished, and then they're just going to try and figure it out from there. Because, they're having meetings, obviously, but they don't know yet. Like, right now, they just don't,
Well, they opened up, October, it would be beginning of free agency. Basically at the end of this game, pretty much, at this point, you're already seeing the trade rumors flying or what have you leading up to that. And then from last that I heard, right, was that in late November was when all the teams were going to start getting back together, especially the teams that were out of the 2014 tournament that haven't been on the ice since before the pandemic. Let's not forget about those poor souls.
Yeah.
And then certainly the teams that got knocked out early in the 2014 tournament. So you got to have a conditioning training camp, and then certainly teams that, like the Lightning that, and Dallas Stars that have played this recently, maybe they don't have to go all hard out because they'll be a little bit more fresh. That's what's going to be a really interesting dynamic for the 2021 season, is comparing the teams that played deep into this tournament versus the teams that got ousted early, and then also versus the teams that hadn't made it at all. They're going to have a distinct advantage in terms of fresh legs throughout the next season.
Yeah, absolutely. Tom saying basketball talking about opening up on Christmas Day, which is what they wanted anyway.
Yeah. I mean, Christmas Day is a huge basketball day. It makes so much sense, Tommy, that that's going to happen. You do Christmas for the NBA, you do New Year's Day for hockey. You kick off with the Winter Classic.
True.
I like that recipe. That's something that was floated around. And I'm fully here to say that there could be a little bit more tangibility to this that I'm not privy to, but I haven't heard about it.
Yeah, he's saying you guys think that the latter start to next season will be a permanent thing. Not sure. I mean, I don't think it should, because they've even talked about they wanted to do a full 82, which I absolutely don't know how you're going to be able to pull that off unless you cram the schedule to where you're literally doing, 7 or 8 game homestands, and you're going on the road, and you're immediately doing one right after the other if the cities are in close proximity. Like, for example, the Flyers were going on a road trip. You would do 5 games on that road trip, say, and since 3 of them are with New York teams, you go one day New York, the next day it's the Islanders. After that, you go straight to Buffalo, and then you finish it up with New Jersey, and then you come back down to Philadelphia. That's 4. But still, that would be like you're doing it literally 1, 2, 3, 4. That would be terrible to put teams through that. I mean, that's just New York. That's just that area. Not even talking about what it would do for the West teams, because it's not like you can do that for the West ones because of all the space that's between the cities there.
Sure. No, 100%. I mean, this is the NHL. This isn't the MLB. We've seen what they've done, and they've seen the problems that they've had with that. And that's facts. I mean, Corona's not going away. It's still going to be present in early 2021, unless a vaccine is created before then. That makes it a little safer. But you're going to have these travel issues, and then you're going to try to cram 82 games in the normal timeline of when the playoffs would normally start. Not a good idea. What they first came out and said that the 2021 season would be maybe a 60 or 62 game schedule. That I think is more likely. I think that's a lot more doable, especially if you still have travel, precautions that need to take place. Keep safety and keep safe for the players and the coaching staff. They've done it so well in this bubble. You'd want to see them continue making the good decisions.
Yeah, absolutely. And doing a full 82 right now, I mean, yeah, do the player, and I heard, Brian had said it before here on the show that the players want it, but it's like, yeah, the players may want it, but just because the players want it don't mean it should happen. Let's just put it to you that way. Because sometimes players are warriors. We know this. But like warriors, when they're hurt, this has happened, they don't want to admit they're hurt, and then they get hurt worse. And then same thing here. You're going to try full 82. It's going to kill you at the end of the day, trying to cram all that in. And Don was saying, I was on YouTube looking up NHL Brawl, and that Flyers or Sabres fight in 96. Jeez. That was that the one started with Garth Snow? I think it was that one. Was it not?
All I remember is Death to Barnaby. That's about all I remember from that fight, and it's a great one. That's one of my top. That one and maybe the one against the Ottawa Senators a few years later, or into the 2000s. Was that 2004, where Razor went at the other goaltender?
It was either 2004 or it was 2006. It was one of those 2 years.
Oh, you're on the same wavelength as me, brother. I was just going to ask the same question. If there's a clip of sports that epitomizes and just represents my childhood, it's that. I watched that live, and I I was already in love with hockey, but I'm like, is this a friggin' movie? It's amazing. It's amazing.
What's interesting about that fight was, obviously Donald Brashear, number one. That was what made that interesting. But number two was that I was actually training at the time, and we had the game on the TV in the gym, and I see this fight breaking out, and I got the gloves on at the heavy bag, and I'm over there punching with them and shit. Dude. That's what I remember about that fight. It was fabulous.
They had you getting ready to run through a wall.
Yeah. No, for sure.
That was great, and that was such an epic fight. Esch got out of the net, and he wound up fighting with who was in goal for the Senators at that time? Was it Lalime?
It was Lalime.
It was Lalime.
Right. Yeah, I think you're 100% right.
That was funny because it's funny how some names just come up in your head. Lalime always stuck with me. I don't know why. Maybe because of that reason, or maybe because he was such a shit goalie. I'm not sure. But anyway.
A little bit of both.
Yeah, maybe it was a little bit of both. But Don saying, you want to talk about movies as a kid? The Pistons brawl with Indiana.
Oh yeah, it's fairs. Was Reggie Miller up in that too on India for the Pacers? If I recall, I'm not the biggest NBA guy, but
I'm sure Don knows. I'm sure he'll let you know.
Right. He got into. I know he started some soirees in the past.
Cody Canterbury said Emery had some good ones. Oh yeah, I still remember the day he charged out of the crease and he fought Holtby. Yeah, may he rest in peace. That was that game where the Capitals just spanked the Flyers, and Emery just grabbed Holtby, and Holtby said, "I don't want to fight you," and Emery said, "Cover up, you ain't got no choice," and he started beating the shit out of him.
He went,
yeah.
Let's go.
Blood sport style. He did, man. God, man, Razor. But hey, Carter Hart, man, showing a nice tribute to him, man, having his whole helmet design. That was pretty badass on his part. But and Don was saying, yep, Reggie Miller was there. And Masai actually chimes in. He says, no, the best fight was Wah versus Osgood back in the old Red Wings Avalanche days. That's a good one.
Good. Yes, sir. Great call. Great goalie. That's what we got to do. We got to devote a whole show to hockey goalie fights.
Oh, don't worry. We will definitely talk about that. Eileen saying, hi, guys. Hope you're doing well. We hope you're doing well, Eileen. Hello. And Cody saying, Broad Street Bullies, baby. Oh, yeah. Bullies had some tremendous fights. I mean, you go looking back on just Dave Schultz highlights alone, and Schultz literally would rip somebody's freaking head off. But, God, could you imagine? Dave Schultz would not work today at all on so many levels. But good God, man, back when he was, I think they played without helmets back then too. Right. So even crazier to think about that. But
right. Well, it's like when Bialois was on the Sports Hound, and he was saying, "No way I can make it in the game today." They let the refs police that. Back in the day, we policed it ourselves, and yeah, it's apples and oranges now, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And Cody actually had a comment on the poll, and he said he disagreed, and he said the Flyers just shat the bed. So he's banking on the Flyers being the toughest team in the East. I love that. Love the support on that one, man.
Yeah, baby. Amen. And hey, I mean, they just were in over their head. They got in over their head. They got that cockiness that we were talking about earlier in the show, that Tampa had in game one and got caught with their pants down against Dallas. So, you live and you learn. And there's a lot of talent. There's a lot of young talent on this team, and there's more to come, And hopefully Chuck Fletcher continues his great deals to continue to make this hockey team one step better to, being that dominant force. But they've had good forward play. They've had, prided themselves on a great, solid young decor, as well as some cagey veterans like Niskanen and Braun, and the best young goaltender in hockey right now in Carter Hart. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Don was saying, "Don't you dare touch Osgood." What was funny was that the Red Wings, they always went with Vernon, and you forgot about Osgood and how important he was to that team sometimes. And you realize, holy shit, man, Osgood was such a good goalie. And it's a shame that sometimes he doesn't always get the praise he deserves. It's just like, Ozzy was a very good goalie. He's just sometimes overshadowed because Vernon just happened to be the guy who was on the team when they won 2 in a row. You know?
Absolutely. Hey, I'm going to still be with you here, Maddie. I'm just going to show the people who we are.
Sure, go right ahead. And Eileen, by the way, she was saying Clarkie was crazy cool back in the day. My late father told me, hey, if you got a chance, go onto YouTube. Take a look at like a 10-minute or 5-minute highlight video of Clark, and or go look up one goal from Clark's career when he scored an OT winner against the Boston Bruins in the Stanley Cup Finals, game number 2. And that right there that's the goal that sets Clark on the path of immortality. That goal right there, and his celebration of him jumping up in the air after he scored it was just that's pure joy right there for Philadelphia fans. But Cody saying we were the hottest team before COVID, demolished the round robin. I think we were only lost 1 game to Tampa all year. Maybe wrong, but honestly, TK and Coots couldn't get it going. Everyone hates on G, but he was behind the scenes making plays. I mean, honestly, I feel like G. I just feel like he should have done a little bit more than he did, and that's just my personal opinion on the matter. As for TK and Coots, they did not get it going. They struggled. Coots tried; he had strong defensive play. He just couldn't get his offensive game going. TK, I don't know what the fuck happened with him. But when it comes to
Snake bit, I mean, there was efforts were there, just hitting pipes and not missing the net. And I think Cromer actually hit the nail on the head on our joint shows for the playoffs, and that's he started showing that emotion. You know what I mean? And don't get me wrong. No, correction. He showed that frustration. You show the emotion, you show the passion, but the frustration, all the looking up in the air, right? It breeds it breeds those cold streaks and just keeps them coming.
Absolutely. And he also said we only lost 1 game to Tampa. Actually, no, we lost every game but 1 to Tampa all year. We won the 1 game against them in the round robin. That was it. That was the only time we got a win on them. There was only one other team that we couldn't beat, and that ironically was the team that eliminated us in the New York Islanders. Right. Only 2 teams we couldn't beat all year, and we ironically drew. We faced them in the playoffs. One in the round robin, the other time in the semis. Figures.
Well, in a sense, it was 1 and 2. They had 2 regular season victories, and one of them was a close game. There was a blowout involved, but one of them was also a close game, which gave me that vote of confidence that we're 1 step closer to this team, because I do look at Tampa Bay as sort of that benchmark. They've been successful for the past 5-6 seasons and beyond. So, I like that we were close, and then we handled them in the round robin. And it just goes to show that there were teams that were not taking it as seriously as the Flyers were at that juncture, because look at the Lightning's track, path in these playoffs. Not the shit on the Flyers. I mean, they did win that series against the Canadiens. You can say however they won it. They won it. A win's a win. It's in the books.
They did.
So I'm just giving the pros and cons here, but all in all, when we originally did our bracket, and it did make sense based on the numbers for the Flyers to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals to face the Tampa Bay Lightning. I honestly have the Tampa Bay Lightning. I did not think that we truly matched up well with them. And to your point, Maddie, before, I also realized we did not match up well against the Islanders based on regular season play.
Yeah, absolutely. And Cody was saying, my bad. Like, no need to apologize, man. It's okay. It's okay. We face almost all the teams. We face every team for pretty much every year, and it's hard to keep track of the season record sometimes. The only reason why the Tampa one stuck out to me was because we lost to them all the time. And the same thing with the Islanders. I couldn't tell you what our season record was against the Devils or the Penguins or what have you. I couldn't tell you that.
We're just here to entertain and educate, man. There's no bad comments. We love them. Keep them coming, man. Keep them coming, Cody. Eileen posts us, too, to both Maddie and Rob. Who is the goaltender on a team other than the Flyers that you think is a great goalie? It's a good question. I'll let you go first, Maddie.
For me, who I think is a great goalie, I believe that well, I wanted to say Sergei Bobrovsky, but I'm going to have to put an asterisk next to that right now. Tuukka Rask, he's a great goalie, and gets blasted by Boston a lot, which we'll talk about later. And then another really good goalie, Philip Grubauer, who I think sometimes gets a little overlooked. But Holtby was great. I don't know if he's not as good as he used to be, but he was great at one point. Back, you rewind the tape 5-6 years ago, Holtby was fucking unbelievable. And I like Markstrom. I'll see where his career goes, but he looks really good. Darcy Kemper looks amazing in Arizona. There's some good goalies rolling around the NHL. Some past their prime, but right now those are some really good goalies. And obviously Prince Igor, who's the heir apparent to Henrik's throne. He's looking real good too. So
you got the king followed by, or the prince, following the king. I finally just got that. It just clued in. I'm a little slow, people. But I'm a little fast on this subject because there's a man that my counterpart here left out, and that's the Vezina Trophy winner, Connor Hellebuyck. I'm surprised you didn't say it, Maddie, because you're a big fan of Connor Hellebuyck for the Winnipeg Jets, who didn't really get to demonstrate his dominance in this year's playoffs, but had a fabulous regular season. He edged out the aforementioned Tuukka Rask, to your point. So, I mean, he's certainly up there. But Connor Hellebuyck doing it for a team that sometimes that defense leaves him out to dry, and posting the save percentages that he's posted up, it's been mighty impressive.
Yeah. And, also, and Price, obviously, Carey Price, definitely.
Yeah. He ain't dead yet. There's another resurgence of Carey Price. Trust me. When you've been around sports, and I'm not trying to date myself, but I've seen cycles of players, and you've seen guys. Justin Verlander is a great example in the baseball world, where you look back at his early Detroit Tiger days, where he's a flamethrower throwing 100 and you couldn't touch him, right? Then he revamped himself and has had a great, phenomenal career on the Houston Astros after a dip in production towards the end of those Detroit Tigers years, where you thought, he's flaming out. And he comes back and wins a Cy Young and is the best pitcher in baseball again. Now he's got to go Tommy John surgery for the first time in his career. And I believe he's either as young as 37 or maybe even as old as 39. And a lot of people are saying, like, no way he's going to come back. I guarantee you Verlander's going to come for the third time because his wife is Kate Upton. And because he's just got that tenacity. You see that in sports. You see the cycles of players. So there's no doubt about it.
For a hockey one, back in the day, Rob, you might remember this. It was Western Conference, so maybe not. But Grant Fuhr, after his time in Edmonton, he was. A lot of people doubted that he still had the magic. He went to Buffalo, it wasn't as successful. Mm-hmm. Went to St. Louis and revived his career, and it's like, holy shit, Grant Fuhr's good all of a sudden again. Where the fuck that come from?
Yeah. That resurgence was the last time I think the Dallas Stars were in the Cup. I think that Dallas Stars team, didn't they face the St. Louis Blues with Grant Fuhr, if I'm not mistaken, during that Cup Finals run?
They may have faced him in '99. I don't remember
around that time period,
right now.
But I'm very familiar with Mr. Fuhr, and yeah, that's a great example, Maddie.
But yeah. So let me see here. She said she had to run. So night, Eileen. She also said,
"So quick, you're here and gone. You'll be back. She'll be back.
They always come back. No,
they always come back." Well done, Maddie. Well,
yeah. and Eileen also had a comment saying that hockey men are still sexy, and I'm like, okay, so all you ladies out there who are watching right now, go ahead, pull up your Google, type in Henrik Lundqvist. You're welcome, and we'll move forward. On to, let's see, Cody saying, who do you guys think leaves us in the offseason? We're not sure yet. I mean, we're going to break down the Flyers roster. We're actually got our producer gave us a great idea. We're going to do a show where we're going to have stay and go, and we're going to see who's going to leave the Flyers and who's going to stay on the Flyers. So we're definitely going to talk about that
too. That's going to be coupled with the normal whatever normal is these days off season. So Yeah.
I would say, I mean, just to give you a little teaser though, I would say, try to get rid of JVR, maybe Voracek, and Goss to spare. Those are three names right off the top of my head that I would say you got to get rid of right now, at least salary wise, because they're making a lot of money. And we're getting hit that flat cap, and we got some big boy contracts that we're gonna have to pay real soon. So, it's yeah.
Right.
But let's see here. What's else? We got Don saying, Rob, you just had to break my heart talking about Justin.
Hey man, once a tiger, always a tiger.
All right, so on to our on to going through the teams that didn't make it, and we might as well get started off with the teams that were stunningly here, and that we'll start with Chicago. I would have to say it's a successful year because they weren't going to be here originally, and they got into the playoffs. So, I mean, they have some young talent, but this was a team that was going to miss. We knew they were going to miss. But they still beat the Oilers, and they still got to the quarterfinals, more than we could say for the Oilers. We'll get to them in a minute. But I'd have to put them in the success column for this season.
Yeah, and I think the restart too really showed who they got in Dylan Strome in that deal with the Coyotes out in the desert, and you saw like that playoff swagger come from them against the Oilers from Taves and Kane, who are older than when we saw them back in 2010, 10 years exactly, as a matter of fact, but can still get the job done. So it's a situation where maybe they're thinking rather than rebuild around the two, who are signed to 2058. Not quite that long, but you get the gist.
I see what you did there.
Yeah, that you could retool around them, and you got some pieces now. I really think that it's time to move on from Corey Crawford if they're going to be a successful organization.
True. I mean, Crawford, he had one game that he showed a lot of, what he could do back in the day. That one, I think, was it game 2? I think it was that he beat Vegas, and he was the reason why they won that game. That was like the last time I think I saw anything like, all right, Crawford showed he had that just enough to get them that win, but he ain't got enough to get them a cup again. We know that for a fact, not in his current state. But yeah, so that's Chicago. We're putting them in the success column. All right, so we'll go on to the next one that really shouldn't have been here. We'll go to Montreal. What can you say about Montreal except, this was definitely a successful year for a team that was at 500. They got brought in because the NHL wanted to make sure they had an even amount of teams and to fill it out completely. I give them a lot of credit, man. This was a team that we didn't know what the hell was going to happen with them. They struggled all year. They go into the qualifier and they beat Pittsburgh and they made it look easy, which I give them a lot of credit for that. I mean, yeah, Price, I think, deserves a good, decent amount of credit for that showing. But Nick Suzuki was really good. Kakaniemi was showing that, okay, they got some youth here going on.
Yeah.
This is... Holy shit, man. Like, they got some good youth in there. I mean, they have their veterans still. They have Gallagher, but he struggled during this particular postseason. And still the joke of he scored and then Niskanen broke his jaw. And, it's just Shea Weber. I think he didn't have a bad playoff either. Petrie didn't have a bad one either.
They were phenomenal. Matter of
Yeah.
fact, they had Montreal up in the tops of the league for defense in the playoffs for sure.
Yeah. And the only one who I think really struggled was Drouin because he went to the box way too much. That was the only one I can really take at. It's like he's the only one who underperformed, at least in Montreal's roster.
He's a head case. He's a talent, but he's a head case. So it's good to have. And they got him because it was a blue-collar team, very devoid of talent. And you really saw how they've come along. And, yeah, you hit the nail on the head with Nick Suzuki, had a phenomenal playoff. So, there's definitely now a little more talent along with that work ethic. And you're always in hockey games with Carey Price. Like I said, even when he slumps, he'll be back. So, yeah, I think, Montreal's in a good situation. I think this year's draft is going to be key for what they do in the 2021 season.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And in a deep draft, who knows? Maybe they shell some depth to get some picks,
Sure.
get some more really talented players to inject more youth into the lineup. It may not be a bad option for them to look at, just because maybe their retool won't take nearly as long if they can get some young players with some leadership on there that they already have, get them going. Next thing you know, Montreal's competing for third place in the Atlantic or a wild card spot.
Correct.
But we go on to the next team on the standings here. We'll go back out west. We go to Arizona. Well, I would like to say this is a failed season for Arizona, but I can't actually say that. This was a successful year for them. Arizona, they got here. It's the best thing I could say. And they won a round. They beat Nashville, which I think Nashville definitely underestimated Arizona. I'm 110% believing that, because Game 1 perfectly explained that to me. When I saw Arizona put like a 3 spot on them, Nashville all of a sudden said, oh, shit, okay, this isn't the Arizona we faced during the regular season. We got to actually play now. And at the end of the day, I think Arizona showed, like, okay, they have some youth. And if their offense gets going, they can be really good. And Darcy Kemper's a really great goalie. And they got there. But then after they did, let's be honest, they got absolutely overmatched by Colorado in that first round. It wasn't even a series. It really wasn't.
No, for sure. I mean, I agree with what you're saying. I don't know if they did or did not overlook an Arizona team, but I just don't think Nashville's any good. I think they got a lot of holes in their game, and I think that's a team that needs to really blow it up and rebuild. They got chumped by a team that really shouldn't have been there in Arizona. You know what I mean? I mean, does it give them a little confidence in players like Taylor Hall? For sure, but they're still not a quality team yet, and they have a lot of work to be done.
Yeah, I mean, Arizona is an interesting case, but I'm going to put them in the success column only because, let's be honest here, they were probably going to miss, and they did what they were supposed to do. They went into the qualifiers, beat Nashville, went to the quarterfinals. They just got way overmatched by a much better team than them, and that's Colorado, and that's the truth. Colorado's a better team.
And Arizona took a game against Colorado, didn't they? They didn't get swept, right?
No, they didn't. It was Kemper who prevented them from getting swept. But
he made like a 40 save game or something like that to keep them in there. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's that. That right there, getting that one win. I know it's only one win, but that one win is the difference between a happenstance series win that you got versus, man, maybe we got something going here out in the desert. And Darcy Kemper, he's gotten the job done. He's not a sexy name, but he could stop the rubber.
It'll be weird because, Arizona currently right now, they don't have their GM. He left. They got a new one, so we'll see what he's going to do. Right. And we'll see if they're active during the draft. We'll see if they're planning on making any trades, if they're going to try and re-sign Taylor Hall. It's a weird situation. We don't really know where Arizona's at right now. We really don't. Oh, and by the way, ownership apparently is saying they're bankrupt. So we've been down this alley before, haven't we? This sounds all too familiar, like it happened like only a handful of years ago.
They're broke? Oh, they're broke? They're back to a failure then. I don't care how many games they won. They're broke? Kidding me? Come on.
All right, next up. We go to the New York Rangers. This is a successful year for them. For a team that we didn't really know where they were going to be. They were doing a soft reboot of the team, trying to get younger. They realized, okay, where we're at, we're a mediocre team. We need to reboot this right now. Not hard restart. We're not blowing it up, but we're just taking pieces and we're putting it together. So far, it's been coming along pretty well, even a little bit ahead of schedule, you could argue. And this team showed a lot. I mean, latter half of the season, they were the hottest team. Only team that was hotter than them was probably the Flyers. That was it. But they were just as hot, and they were gunning for that last wild card spot. And obviously, the reason why they had to go into the qualifiers because of COVID, and they got in there, that break killed them. The break just killed their momentum, and they never got it going against Carolina. But still, I got to give the credit. It's a successful year for the Rangers, really.
Yeah. Going in pre-pandemic, I did not want the Flyers to face the New York Rangers in the first round of the playoffs because, as hot as we were, I think they were actually hotter. Especially coming back from down deep in the standings to be wild card relevant. And yeah, I mean, Mika Zibanejad, or what's his name? D'Angelo as well. Pieces like that coming up and showing scoring depth. You got good young goaltending, and you're about to get the best hockey player in this year's draft in Alexei Lafreniere. Yeah, I mean, this team, I think, is definite to make the playoffs in 2021. And if things go their way and they get, Igor playing, Shesterkin playing like lights out like Carter Hart, right? Man, they could be a contender. So, I mean, that rebranding rather than blowing it up and just retooling may have worked up there in MSG. Some bitches.
Yeah, the way this division's going, we might start seeing a Flyers-Rangers revamp where we're facing each other every year, like back in the 80s. Let's see here. Don saying, did you guys ever do a top 10 players to play for the Flyers episode? Yes, we did. I think it was during the pandemic break we did that, I believe.
Yeah, I think it was. It was. I don't know if it was 5 or 10. It might have been 10, but we did. Yeah, our most and least favorite Flyers. We'll do it again though. We're gonna like we talked about last show. We're gonna be doing some drafts. We're gonna be doing a lot of fun stuff. Just after once the last puck drops for the Stanley Cup Finals, doesn't mean we're going anywhere. We have lots of fun shows. That's some of our better shows, believe it or not.
Oh, don't worry. There's some creative stuff we all three come up with. And we're always writing them down. I have a whole notepad thing here sitting on my laptop just filled to the brim with show ideas. Trust me. We got stuff planned for you guys. Trust me.
It's true.
Okay. On to the next one in line. We go to Minnesota. Well, they were here. I don't know. Minnesota's they're in a rough spot. They've got some really rough contracts that they're still got to go with for a while.
Right.
Which also makes me worry because the same GM who put those contracts on them is our GM right now. But jury's still out, so we're not going to jump to conclusions. But
right. Sure. Well, sometimes you got to live and learn a little bit. You always get better at your second job.
Yes.
What I mean? So, and I have no complaints about Chuck Fletcher so far. All he's done is make great deals. So, and good contracts. I mean, not like anything. He has not a lot to work with. Certainly from the Holmgren era. So that being said, I don't know. I mean, they're sort of they're meh. They're not a success. They're not a failure. They're right in the middle there. Right, they got some good young talent. The thing is, you got to improve between the pipes. Stalock and I always forget his name. The back of the not it was Darcy Kemper there in Minnesota, but the Brian Daly would know in an instant who I'm speaking of right now. But anyway, Stalock was their starter for the playoffs, and that's enough said for you. You know what I mean? They got to improve in that department.
Yeah. I mean, Minnesota at the end of the day, I could safely say they kind of I wouldn't say they disappointed. They just kind of did what we thought they were going to do. I mean, I honestly didn't think they were going to get through Vancouver. I thought Vancouver was going to win that series, and they did. So it's like, you guys just performed to expectations.
Devin Dubnyk. I hate when I have to look things up. Go on, I'm sorry.
But no, honestly, I'll put it as a failed season for one reason, because they're in the middle of this mediocrity run they're in right now, and they can't get themselves out of it. And they can't get themselves out of it right now because they have those bad contracts. They don't have great goaltending. And even though they got some young talent, that young talent it's like, okay, but you're not going to be able to really build much around them because of how bad that situation is. It's like, I don't know what to tell you. It's like Minnesota should just blow it up at times. That's what I'm thinking they should do at this point. But
Yeah,
for right now,
get rid of the veterans, rely on more of the youth because they do have something cooking. Looking at their roster in the youth side, you got Joel Eriksson, 23 years old, Kevin Fiala, I'm a big fan of Kevin Fiala's game, 23 years old. You got Alex Galchenyuk, 25 years old, Jordan Greenway, USA, was great in the last Olympics. 22 years old, good player that can really develop on the pro level now with some more experience. And then I do see their ultimate solution in goaltending. This is why I wanted to bring that up. Kaapo Kakkonen, 23-year-old goaltender out of Finland. He's got some promise for the future as well. So yeah, it could be they're just not, they're not ready for primetime players right now,
maybe.
and you got to let these older contracts shed off.
All right, then. So I put them in the failed category. Rob, what about you?
Meh.
Meh.
In the middle.
No, I got you. All right. So we move forward. Go from Minnesota. That's actually the best way to describe that whole franchise is meh. Have you ever realized that about Minnesota? That's their entire existence since the Wild came into to the NHL. Oh, at least the North Stars were exciting. But anyway, on to Florida. Oh, God, Florida. All right, here we go. Fucking Florida. We knew it had to get to here at some point. God damn. Like, I don't know what the fuck is up with this team, but Jesus. I know that they have a losing culture there, but for fuck's sake. You got fucking Joe Quenneville sitting behind your fucking bench. You got Danny Boyle to try and quarterback your defense. And on top of that, you went and fucking got Sergei Bobrovsky, who was the hottest free agent goaltender available at that time.
Yeah.
Bobrovsky underperforms. The defense absolutely shits the bed. And Quenneville looks like he's just throwing up his hands like, I don't care, man. Like, maybe that's what it is. Maybe they just don't give a fuck. Like, it just seems like it. Like, it's just shocking because the talent's there. The talent is there, man. I know it's there. But
just like Eminem, they're waving two fingers in the air. It's like they just don't care, saying, I just don't give a fuck. Yeah, that's right. And then that might be the case. Well, no, they're set again. I think they're going to have a very successful 2021 season because of this trade that just what happened. They got what they needed in, a little long in the tooth, though. 33-year-old Patrick Hornquist from the Pittsburgh Penguins. They traded Mike Matheson and Colton Sauvignon, who I am a fan of. That is a little meat to give up for Hornquist, but Hornquist is the type of player that they were missing. And now you got these other pieces in play. I think it helps you deal with the loss of Vincent Trocheck, that you traded away to make your defense stronger, which is still there, is still present from that trade deadline deal. And this was just a down year for Bobrovsky. He's too good of a goaltender to be this bad, because he has a little Flyers, in him from coming up with the team. Well, yeah, we have seen lots of goaltenders with lofty expectations absolutely flame out, but he's no longer on the Flyers, so that's not going to happen. And he's a guy that could threaten the Vezina Trophy any year that he's on. And
yeah.
I honestly, I think, like I said, when we were saying to that commenter earlier about the teams in Florida, you got a really good one in Tampa Bay Lightning, and Florida may make some noise in this upcoming season. I think it's a success for him, even though it's hard to say that based on the fact that they were ousted in the qualifying round, if I'm not mistaken, by the New York Islanders. Islanders showed that they were playoff ready-made. So I don't really think that's should be reflected on the Florida Panthers as much as it's accredited to the New York Islanders.
I mean, I want to say that I can't. In my opinion, I got to put it in a fail. And the reason why is because this team has been building itself up for so long. It's been perennially rebuilding, and they can't consistently get to the postseason. They can't even compete for a wild card spot. They can't even get in. And it's like they struggle at even getting into the fucking postseason. I mean, fuck third place. I don't even think they're ever going to compete for third place at this point. It's like, you know what? Jesus, if this team does manage to do that for once, I'm like, oh my God. Okay, you actually did what you were supposed to do for once. Now, can you do it the next year? And then the year after that? Can you actually be what you were supposed to be as advertised? Every offseason, we've been saying, like, Florida may make some noise, and they don't. And it's like, what the fuck? Like, it's like every year it's the same thing with this fucking team.
It's not the Metro, but the Atlantic's a pretty good division too. When you got teams such as Toronto Maple Leafs, who I know I shit on a lot, but there is a lot of talent there in Toronto, and they can win hockey games, especially when you got to play them more often being in your division.
True.
Let alone the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Boston Bruins. I mean, yeah, true, you got Detroit and Ottawa down there at the bottom, but there's some competition in this division. I think they can. I really do. I think this adding of Hornquist, I think they could challenge for that, a top three slot, more accurately, the third seed position in the Atlantic. It's going to be hard to get used back to that playoff format. I almost wish they keep the 2014 tournament. It was so cool, but yeah, I think they got it. Depends on what other teams. It depends on what if the Detroit Red Wings get Markstrom, and do make they got some young talent on that team and do make some good draft picks. Where I believe they have the sixth pick in this year's draft. I'll look that up.
The Red Wings.
Yes.
Did they have? I think they had the fourth.
It could be the fourth. I could be undercutting them. You're 100% right, Maddie. I'm gonna get there in a second, hopefully. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, Florida Panthers. They're a team that could go back and forth. You're right.
I don't know. I'm just not. I'm gonna hold my breath. I'm not gonna hold my breath with them. I'm like, I've said that this team could make some noise before, and they've made me look like an idiot. I'm like, nope, not doing it again. Nope. This team hasn't proven it to me that they can consistently play. So we'll see if they can this year. We'll see if they change their habits and finally get their shit together for once.
You're correct. Yeah, they picked fourth. It's Anaheim that picked six. That's why the sixth came in there for our loyal compadre B-Dales, who is resting from a fierce fishing trip.
Yeah.
What up, Bri?
Yeah. Hey, a duck caught a shark. Just like they did in the playoffs.
Well said. Well said. But and then Ottawa Senators having the third and fifth pick also being in this division. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think this is something that's going to affect next year. You got to have players develop. You know what I mean? They don't just come right into play.
Of course. But I would say, you know what the funny part is? Their higher draft pick is not theirs. It was the one they traded San Jose to.
Yeah.
Like, that is great that they fucking fleeced the shit out of the Sharks. And the higher pick that they got, it would have been San Jose's if the Sharks had just not traded. Oh my God, I just find that hilarious. Just honest to God. But anyway, all right, let me see here. And Don was saying 4. But, okay, next up we have number 9, the Winnipeg Jets. Oh, this was a rough qualifier for them. They had nobody. None of their weapons were available. They had one weapon. It was taken away from them in game 1. Matthew Tkachuk, that's all I could say about that. When I just remember watching freaking game 3 or 4 it was before they got eliminated, and I saw that Winnipeg team, the looks on their faces told me the story. That was a team that was just broken. They were absolutely broken in that series. And Brian say, quick fly guys question, boys. Clearly we need goal scoring. I think Frost should help, but you guys' opinion, who is a goal scorer we can realistically get?
I'm so glad he asked this question, dude, because you know what? I'm just going to jump into it now for penalty box real quick before we
sure.
Because it just goes right into that. The man that the Philadelphia Flyers need to acquire is Patrick Laine.
It ties into Winnipeg.
You know exactly where I was going with it on that. Absolutely. And I've caught some heat, specifically in Flyers Nation about advocating that the Flyers should go for him. This team needs a sniper now. Sure, yeah, like Wilson said, we have one on the way with Morgan Frost, but just think what this team could do right now with Laine, and then plus when Frost comes up, Laine being 23 years old himself and a good young piece to put with this team. He's one of the best scorers on the goal planet. He's one of the best goal scorers on the planet. It's that simple. Sure, Laine, he's fairly one-dimensional. He's a one-trick pony, if you will. But his one dimension and trick happens to be goal scoring. And based on the playoffs, that's what this team needs. And I think that the Flyers could package, and this is what I was throwing out there, Shane Gostisbehere, Scott Laughton, and 2 picks. I think that would get the Jets' attention, and I think that would get the job done. And they're saying that that's too much. Come on, man. That's too much?
It's not too much when – see, here's the thing. It's not too much when you have a lot of young players with a lot of young talent and a lot of upside. You can part ways with other players when that opportunity is given to you. Like when you have that kind of breathing room, you can make a trade like this. It would be if we had a Flyers team that was from like 10 years ago, right, that was a lot of older guys and very few young guys, and you trade away one of the young guys, then it's like, nice, great, we traded another young guy away. Not to say that Laine would have been old, but it's like, trade youth for youth. What the fuck for? We don't have enough youth. We have too many old. It's a different story here. It's reversed. We have a lot of youth. We have some old. Get rid of some of the old. Get some, if you have to sacrifice some youth. Right. And you bring in better youth with the scoring upside to be the natural goal scorer. Right. Personally, for me, I don't think it's too much. I mean, honest to God, I don't think it is. So we got the breathing room.
I mean, Scotty Vaughn's a nice piece, you know what I mean? And he can score goals in this league, and he's a good play-now player for them. Gostisbehere's still young and would help Winnipeg tremendously in terms of, goal production or just scoring production from their blue line. Then you give him 2 picks. I mean, as Gritty just fell over. He fell over for the deal. But
yeah.
It's got to happen, right? But I just feel I'm getting animated. That's why I'm shaking the ground, because I just think this needs to happen. And you know what? I drive Scott and goes to
Well, that'd be a nice long drive.
Right. If they went forecheck instead of Scott Laughton, I'm okay with that too. Because pretty much Laine would be taking that same position on the top line anyway. You know what I mean? So it's sort of, and it helps out a little bit with contract. I mean, not so much, because Laine's going to have $7.5 million due to him this year, right? And that's the downer. So you got to shed, some capital to do this. That's why you get rid of Gostisbehere, who's being paid well, right? Scotty Laughton's contract. You give the picks. They were arguing that they would want York or Frost. And I'm like, well, then the Flyers don't do that deal then. And they say, go fuck yourselves, Winnipeg. You know what I mean? But I don't think you have to give them prospects and picks. I think the picks are actually more important so they can get the guys that they want in their organization. You know what I mean? Unless they're particularly targeting a York.
Well, here's the thing. Especially in this draft. This draft is very deep. So you can almost say, hey, we'll give you a pick that we have. We'll give you a second-round pick, maybe even our first-rounder. Maybe that's a little steep. But a first-rounder in a deep draft, no matter where you're picking from, and even though we're picking in the 20s, a deep enough draft, they may very well have a player that could absolutely be vital to them in the near future. I mean, hell, the Flyers have had very good picks at 20 and in the early teens. Konechny was a 20 pick. He was number 22, and we got him, and we traded up for him, by the way. He was a gem just sitting right there in the latter portion of the first round. So you see what I'm talking about. Maybe that's tempting in a deep draft like this. Throw the picks at them and say, hey, you want them? We'll give them to you. You give us Lane, and you can also have this guy as well. Ghost, he needs to change the scenery. It's not working in Philly.
Right.
Lawton, look at what he did for us in the postseason. He can do that for you. So there you go.
100%, and it's like, yeah, I was thinking that for Shane, and I'd love to see him do well in Winnipeg. Like, I love Shane Gostisbehere more than life. You know what I mean? So this is tough for me to suggest, but it's necessary because it just doesn't fit with the defenders that we do have now. You know, and then coming with York. But if they wanted York instead of a pick, I'm fine with that because then we could pick for that draft depth. You know what I mean? But I think honestly, they would much rather the picks than the prospects, but they need play now NHL players as well. And ultimate point is Lane could, he's been great goal scorer. I mean, you're talking a guy that his lowest total was like 27, 28, but usually in the mid 30s. I think he has a 40 goal. I'm gonna have to look up the stats to be sure about that. But in any event, right, he's not really happy playing out in Winnipeg. So it really just, that's why the name's out there. And that's why I think, in terms of percentages for it to happen, Ryan, I'll say 70. I'll give it a 70%, right? About 2/3, almost 2/3 of the way likely that this could get done because it's a good fit. There already, been some rumors floating out there that there's been some phone calls. There's been some chatter out there, and I just think it would be a good situation for Lane to get out of Winnipeg, get in Philadelphia, get in a major market, and light the lamp with Claude Giroux. Let's go.
Now, for me, percentage-wise, I'm not going to go as high. I'm going to say 60, and the reason why I say 60 is because one of two things. One, Fletcher, he has said he's willing to just sit pat, which may just be bullshit. But at the same time, this is how trades work. You think it's going to be this guy, and then it turns into this guy. And then you're like, oh. And it happens so often, especially in Philly, it happens a lot. Very rarely do you see the guy we go after is the guy we go get. Like, it happens on an occasion, and when it does, it doesn't go well. Like, when we pretty much were going to get Briz, we got Briz. Oh, we fucking got Briz. And we regretted every second of it after that deal went through. But it was, and then we wanted Shea Weber, and it didn't happen. But the point is that,
you don't always get what you want.
Yeah.
I absolutely get that.
I'm gonna put it in the 60. I'm gonna go above 50%. I'll go an extra 10, but I feel like it's too good to be true. Like, I feel like it's a good idea for a deal, but I don't know. I don't know because it's Philadelphia and we never have any good things happen to us. So I gotta hold back on it for a moment.
You never have nice things. Never have nice things. And Lane is a nice thing. And if you rewind the tape in terms of those random numbers that I was throwing out for goals scored, I think there's an exact match, people. This last season, 28 goals. The season prior, 30 goals. The season prior to that, his sophomore year, 44 goals. And his rookie year, 36 goals, where he was second in the Calder and trophy voting. So, yeah, I mean, this is stud puppet. Maybe I'm a little. Yeah, we did get the worst version of Chris. That's for
we
sure.
did. Hi, Clinky. Hi.
Oh, is that him? Yeah.
Yeah, that's him.
Not
He's also very happy that he sees Crosby in the background. Yeah, that's just for you. Yeah, Brodo.
I was telling Clink because I didn't realize it was him. And I said something. He said, "Hey, Daddy." I'm like, "Who's calling me Daddy?"
That's what gave it away. I'm like, "Yep, that's Clinky."
What's up, Daddy? How you doing?
Yeah.
I'm like, who the hell is this guy? And then I look, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm not under attack. Everything's fine.
I'm not getting sexually assaulted via chat.
No. But
Okay,
you know,
he's saying I'm undercover. Oh my god!
I got you.
I see what you did there.
Yeah.
But Rowan, say Rob.
I could be jumping the gun. You know, maybe it's more hopeful that talking there or whatnot. Because the things that make sense hardly ever get done. I'm just drooling because of the one fact I haven't mentioned yet. Yeah, he has
Sure.
one more year on his deal. It is a sizable 7.5, so other maneuvers would have to be done to make it work for the cap. But the following year, he's a restricted free agent, not unrestricted, and they would have those rights in terms of being able to keep him under contract once you get him in Philadelphia. I think it's a big asset to have. So I don't know. I really feel like that could be the missing piece that could make this team that true Stanley Cup contender that they were sort of being perceived to be, or not sort of, were being perceived to be at the beginning of these playoffs.
I agree. A goal scorer like him is absolutely what we're looking for. You know, we need it. We need it really bad. And by the way, Clinky had a question. He was saying, what's good, my boys? Not sure if you talked about it yet, but what do you think about all these trades the Pens have made already? Typical. The Penguins always make trades. It's what they do.
Well, I love it for Florida, Clink, but I also love it for you boys too. Colton Sauvignon is a great player that you're getting, and you guys got tremendously younger, which is what you needed to do by trading away Hornquist, who's 33. Is it a big piece? Sure, but I think that's a situation where I feel both teams made out in that deal for what they needed to do.
Yeah, I think it definitely brings, like you were talking about, that kind of grittiness, that sort of leadership that you needed from Hornquist down to Florida.
Right.
As for Pittsburgh, the one thing that really killed them was two things. One, they're getting older, and that's really hurting them because it's true. Crosby and Balkan, they're kind of old. Let's just let's not beat around the bush. And hey, we know the pain. Giroux's old, but
Right.
but and Klingy's saying it perfectly. He's like, I like the youth aspect for sure. Also bring back Kapanen too in a trade. And getting Casper, that's another young player. It's interesting getting the youth back. It's telling that they're not because they're not really doing anything crazy in terms of they're not trading away players like Gensel. They're not trading away other depth players that have been major offensive contributors. So that's telling me that, okay, they're still trying to stay competitive, but they're trying to get younger in the process of doing so. They're still trying to churn out those playoff appearances with Crosby and Malkin. Mike is saying, like, they're like a fine wine. They're like wine, finer as they age. And I mean, I don't know. Crosby's scoring touch isn't exactly what it used to be. Yeah, but I mean, he's still the disher. Like, he's still the captain. We know that for sure. He still elevates play. I mean, Balkan, I don't know. He's starting to become more of a liability, like out there on the ice a little bit. Oh man. No, I'm just kidding. I have to throw digs in at the Penguins somehow. I don't get many opportunities to laugh at the Penguins when they get eliminated from the postseason because they don't get eliminated all that much. That fucking sucks. But oh man. Here's the weird part. Think about it. Pittsburgh was the second one to get a cup in Pennsylvania, and they're the one that has the most. How the fuck is that fair? But anyway, moving on. Mike saying he only gets 30 goals and 55 assists a year. He sucks now. Yeah, that's actually him sucking. That's the funny part. That is him sucking.
Accurate.
Yeah. Oh, anyway, it was funny because I was messaging Mikey on Facebook, and I did say, it's like, how the fuck did you lose to the Canadians? And he said, yeah, we suck. That was his response. But anyway.
Wow. I mean, they were playing quite well. I mean, we saw firsthand.
Yeah, they were. And so with that, I'm gonna say now. He's saying you don't get to do it much. You don't get to do it much. me not having. Oh, okay. It was all messed up spelling there. He was saying like I don't get to do it much now that he's not around. Hey, Mikey, remember, door's always open, brother. We miss you. But yeah.
Don't get to do it much. That's what she said.
Yeah.
Hey-o! And I know that's not true because, all to all accreditation, you have a fine woman there. I know you guys get busy, young and in love. You know what I mean? It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
But miss you, brother.
Yeah, absolutely. So, with that, real quick before we wrap this whole thing up, we'll do it fast round now, and we won't get into the long-windedness of it. We'll do the Penguins. Failed or successful season since Mikey is here?
Yeah, I gotta say failed because Mikey's here.
Yeah, it's totally.
I mean, it is. I mean, in terms of they were a team that could have made based with their veteran leadership, could have made a nice run. So fail.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I would say Pittsburgh. It's a fail for them only because they probably should have been in the first round and they weren't. Okay, so next up, let's speed run these guys. Calgary, success. This was a successful year for Calgary.
Agreed.
Weird, because I didn't think we would end up saying that. Vancouver, absolutely successful, 110%. Great step forward for them.
Agreed.
Next up, Nashville, fail. It's a fail. You probably should have beat Arizona.
I'm going to say they were successful at being the sucky team that they are.
Love it. I love the Nashville hate.
Yes.
Let's see here. Next up, Edmonton, fail. It's not even a question. This is a fucking fail of the season.
Epic. Eternal fail for the Oilers.
Columbus, I would say it's a successful year. I mean, they got into the postseason, and they did a lot more than what,
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would say it's a successful year.
Minus the manpower they were down, tremendously successful.
Yeah, absolutely. And even before the postseason. And let's see here. Toronto, fail. Absolute fucking fail. Like, the regular season fucking sucked, and your postseason run sucked too. So you got to get your shit together, boys. You really do.
Agreed.
Islanders, obviously a fail. Totally. Just because you eliminated us. No. Serious.
Agreed.
No, but yeah, absolutely successful year for the Islanders. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Let's see. Carolina, I would say it's a successful year for them, even if they did lose to Boston. They shat the bed against them, but I give them a success, considering the fact that they looked like they were going to miss towards the end of the regular season.
Yeah, definitely success.
All right, then. And now, keep firing forward. Us, I'm going to say it was a successful year for us. It's just another step. Got us playoff experience, especially for Carter Hart.
It is a success because they what we had this team pegged for was if they achieved well, they would have a first round win in the playoffs, back in the playoffs since 2012, and that's a big success, right? But I'm going to say fail because things changed with that run of 10 games before the pandemic, and then what they created in terms of whether it be unachievable expectations, but they had the keys in their hand. They were playing well, and they just, just areas of flat play. There could have been so much more achieved this year. Would they have been where the Tampa Bay Lightning are right now? Probably not. But they would have went further than that. They would have beaten the Islanders. I don't know. Maybe this is the fan talking, but I'll say fail.
I mean, for a while, I felt that way, but then I thought, yeah, you know what, though? Some of them, this was their first time. Some of them, there's no excuse. But it was a good chance for Carter Hart to get experience, and I'm looking at it that way. And he
Right.
proved that he's the goalie we need. Now it's a step. Now it's a chance for the Flyers to say this was rock bottom, and this ain't happening again. That's the way they have to take a look at it and move forward. All right.
100%. How many more teams, Maddie?
Just let's see. We're in the first round. We're just firing them through real quick. Shouldn't be much more because we're in the quarterfinals. So we're just going through the round robin teams now. So
Right. You know what? I think I'm going to take Brodo up on your offer if you don't mind, just because I got to get that thing done. Unfortunately, I did want to stick around at least and say how how much the Flyers failed. No, it was a success, but you got to be argumentative a little bit. But
gotcha. All right then. So with that, that was basically going through some of the teams that we had here on the bracket.
Continue doing so. Brodo's going to jump in for me.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
As soon as he's back at his desk, but we'll continue talking while there he is.
There he is. Okay.
I am here.
I caught him off guard because I said we should be okay, and then I realized that Maddie's got to complete every team, and I respect that, and it needs to be done. But I just have to go for now. Okay. I'm sorry.
All right, brother. Well, Rob, you say you have a good night, dude, and everybody will see you next week.
Absolutely, boys. Absolutely, great show. Thanks, fam, for all the comments. Love you. Peace.
Yep. And Don, thanks for the love, man. We're not done just yet. We'll be doing this up real quick, and then we'll finish up in a few moments. So, okay. All right. So we left off with Philly. Brodo, real quick, what were your thoughts? Would you put this as a successful season or a failed season for the Flyers?
For which team? I'm sorry, Maddie. I just got
for Philly.
For the Flyers?
Yeah.
Oh, it's such a man. I started on a good one here. It's tough because I'll tell you this. And we kind of talked about it before, and I don't even think it's a reach because it's literally felt like two different seasons because we had two starts to a season and we had a stop to a season. If you kind of combine them, though, because what I truly believe happened, honestly, and I think we were all guilty of it because it happens, and it happens so quick. I think when we got that number one seed, everyone thought, especially not us, but the casuals out there, and I don't fault them for being that because we want support in any fashion with the Flyers or anything. But I think people tuned back in, and that was the first inkling of sports, and they saw, whoa, the Flyers are the number one seed, and they thought, hey, number one seed, championship.
Yeah.
And listen, we were fired up, we were excited, but we knew, listen, if this was a normal season, were they really a number one seed? No. They capitalized and they got hot. I'm not really taking anything away from the Flyers because they won the games, but maybe it was a product of the three teams they played were still rusty. They didn't have the young youth. It was all about veteran leadership with those teams.
And also I think it was because they were just working on, like you were saying, working off the rust, and also they weren't really taking the round robin all that seriously. And when the playoffs began, you could tell which ones didn't give a shit, and you can tell which ones did.
Mm-hmm.
And that was just that was the ultimate teller in the first round. And the two teams that actually wound up taking the round robin somewhat seriously was Philly and Tampa, and they actually went to the semis, and Boston and Washington didn't. Well, Boston did, but they didn't get to the Eastern Conference Finals. They ran into a team that took it seriously, and they lost.
I'll tell you this. At the end of the day, my expectations before the season was borderline playoff team, and then, like we always talk about, the expectations evolve with what we see with results. So I was saying after the resumption that a success would be winning a playoff series. And everything after that would be kind of gravy. Now, I wouldn't settle on that. If we got to the Stanley Cup, awesome. I'd be happy. But they had that number one seed. They won a playoff series for the first time in a long time. So to me, it was an absolute success.
Yeah. And and Don even said, I think the Flyers had a successful season. What a great experience for Carter Hart. And it was a chance for Carter Hart to get the experience that he needed. That was a big question mark rolling into this year's postseason. Carter proved he won us a series. So he proved to us that, like, yeah, he's God. He is now God. In Gritty we trust, and Carter is, the Messiah. That's basically what it is now in Philadelphia. But, you know, I still put it as a success only because, it was the first time the Flyers really showed that this is what we've been building towards. This is what we have been working towards. This is what Hexie was putting in place. And now you're starting to see all of it take root. And I have to put that as a successful year because for the first time, the NHL actually sweated at us for once. They said, oh, okay, we actually got to be careful when we face Philly. So I consider that a success.
Yep, I agree.
Okay, so let's get to the final teams here on the round robin ones. And the next team on this is we don't need to talk about Tampa because they're still currently playing. But yeah, I think that's an easy one to put out there. They're probably going to win the cup anyway. So Washington, this was a fail. This was an absolute failure of a season. Washington looked like a fucking corpse during the fucking playoffs, and they didn't get any better. And during the season, at first it looked like, okay, Washington's just going to be like they normally are. Then it looked like this team was starting to show its age, starting to really struggle. Offense couldn't get going, and they were losing some really critical games to us and to a lot of other teams. And it's like, ooh, Washington may fall out of first, and we may take it before the season's out because they were not trending in the right direction before the break. So I got to put it as a failed season for Washington. The team – go ahead.
No, I was just going to say I agree also. And you kind of look at it to where, you look at a window that it seemed like they had so many years. And granted, they won the championship a couple years ago, so they cashed in finally. They weren't the embarrassment of a franchise where we would see them absolutely go in as one of the top seeds and then just completely crumble. They actually capitalized on it, and I'm happy for them. Even if I don't really like that organization, but I'm happy for Ovechkin. But now you're starting to see the signs of kind of the deterioration, you know what I'm saying, on this organization, and we're starting to see a lot of teams like I can compare to with the MLB and the NBA and the NFL to where the window's closing fast. It's amazing how fast the window closes and the door closes of being, a bona fide championship contender. These teams to where it all just comes crumbling down. So it's crazy.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I mean Washington and Don saying, so fellas, what the Flyers' expectation next year? Stanley Cup next year. Well, I can't automatically jump to that. I mean, obviously you're going to want to aim for a cup every year, but here's the thing. It depends on what kind of offseason we have. Well, what kind of trades we make, like what kind of draft we have, what we lose in the expansion draft. There's a lot of wild cards and variables right now that we don't even have an answer for right now because it's still up in the air. So, I mean, I guess next year the expectation would be trying to get to the Stanley Cup Finals or the Eastern Conference Finals. Since you got to the semifinals this year, that would be a guess right now, an estimation. But right now, we still don't even know like what kind of team we're going to have when we roll into next season at this point.
Yeah, Don, I'll completely echo what Maddie's saying. I think he's spot on. And, I hate to – like, part of me thinks like, oh, I don't want to give him like a cop-out answer and be like, oh, well, we'll ask us in 2 months. Like, I hate doing that to people. But in a way, to your point, Maddie, and we've kind of talked about it, Rob brought up, and it's great that he said that because I know we were kind of talking about it last week to where, Patrick Laine is my guy. You know what I'm saying? I and, while he might not be the veteran – presence that we talk about, like, oh, what Giroux and Voracek could have been. The kid's just a flat-out superstar, and you talk about the opportunity to get him. If you have an offseason that's headlined by acquiring Laine, then my expectations go closer to Stanley Cup or at least Stanley Cup Finals appearance. But you can also look here, and I don't believe they're going to do what I'm about to say, but it's always possible. You can look at Chuck Fletcher and say, okay, well, we have a solidified head coach that can get the most out of his, young talent. You have a core roster of young talent, and you look at the young talent that we didn't have this year. Obviously, Konechny was kind of, he was a disappointment in the playoffs. You could still look at the development of a Morgan Frost. Why am I blanking on the kid's name that has the concussions? What was the kid's name?
Oh, Patrick.
Nolan Patrick. So then you look at Nolan Patrick and you're like, okay, well, is he going to play? Maybe if he plays to where the GM could sit back and say, well, we have the formula, but we just got to play better. You know what I'm saying? We just got to we have it because we can agree, Maddie. I mean, we won a playoff series without even playing good. After the Red Robin games, we didn't play that good at all.
No, we didn't. We played like shit from game 2 onward, and we got rattled by Montreal. Carter Hart was the major reason why we lived to tell the tale in that series because he had those back-to-back shutouts, and that's what won us that series.
Yeah, so I would say I'll give you two answers, Don. I'll give you a 2-for-1 special. If you have a flashy offseason with obviously, Patrick Laine or a big time acquisition, whether that's free agency or trade, whatever you want to fill in the blanks with, then I would say yes. It would probably, my expectations would go, I would really find it realistic to say we can get to a Stanley Cup Finals. Maybe not win it, but get there, honestly. But if we kind of go with the same system of, hey, we're going to build from within. This team faced a lot of adversity. We didn't have our top guys. We were the hottest team in the NHL, and then boom, the season gets postponed for the time being. Then I would go with the usual kind of ladder that I do with all my teams and say, if you win a playoff series one year, I expect you the next year to win 2, and the next year to win 3, because that is the natural progression of a good organization. If you end up going from winning 1 series to winning the finals, then great. Then I'll be extra happy.
You went above and beyond the Call of Duty.
Yes, then we're all winners. Then we're all winners.
No, I hear you. And obviously, depending upon what we have going into next season, we'll see. We'll see what the Flyers do. And for me, expectation-wise, I would like to see them make the Stanley Cup Final, obviously. But again, realistically, we also have to take in account of our division and the account of 2 teams in the Atlantic that could always pose a threat, being Tampa and Boston. So, it's one of those, we'll see. We'll see what we get next year, and we'll see who gets into the postseason next year, who has a shitty season and who doesn't have a shitty season. Hopefully not the Flyers. But okay, so let's see here. Continuing on. We go to Boston. Yeah, this is a fail. Like, you're the President's Trophy winner. The curse fucking played out as it usually does. They take 4th place, didn't take the round robin seriously at all, and they lose in the second round to the Tampa Bay Lightning. The second time that they've done that, by the way, when these 2 teams meet up in the postseason. And all I got to say is that you won the President's Trophy, you knew what was going to happen, and it happened. And no, you cannot fucking take the bullshit route of saying, oh, well, Rask wasn't here. Fuck you. Halak was a starter for years. Don't fucking give me that bullshit. And secondly, why the fuck are you shitting on Rask when he had a sick child at home? That's fucking bullshit. Like, seriously. It goes beyond sports.
Maddie, I will give you my answer in not even a word. I will give it to you via picture. And you know what, Maddie? I love it. I love it. Back before the bubble playoffs began, I was telling everybody, I basically crowned the Bruins as this year's Stanley Cup champions. I thought it was over. I thought, hey, we're going to come in and crush everybody. I crowned them. They already had the parade in my head. And you look at the chain of events the last, let's see, 18 months or so, okay? You look at it. They're on the doorstep. They think they're going to crush the Blues last year. They're caught them, and they choke in their own damn building.
God, that was a beautiful thing to watch.
Then they're the best team arguably in hockey, definitely in our conference. And they're thinking, oh, we're just going to walk into the bubble and we're going to dominate, right? Embarrassed. I love it. It couldn't happen to a worse group of people. I love it.
Yep, absolutely. And Boston media and Boston sports fans who shit on Rask, the ones who shit on Rask, everybody else is fine. But if you shat on Rask and you said he quit on your team, you can all go fuck a garbage disposal. Fuck you for your bullshit. Like, seriously. Man is a sick child at home, and all you can whine about is, oh, well, he quit on our team. We're not going to get a Stanley Cup because of him. If your team was as good as they fucking should be, they didn't matter if they had Rask or not. Exactly. Fuck off. Seriously.
And all right. I mean, you had two legitimate goalies. It's not like you're going from friggin', a superstar to Ilya Brizgalov. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. You're 110% right. And Don was saying the way Ryan is happy that the Bruins failed is the same way how I feel about Avs. Bye-bye.
I hate him, Don. I friggin' hate him.
No, you have every right to. I hate the Bruins too. They're a fucking piece of shit, arrogant organization.
Yep.
But that's what comes with being original six, I guess. Anyway, moving on to Vegas. Fail. And the reason why it's a fail is because they failed in the Western Conference Finals. It wasn't even a series. Dallas fucking steamrolled them. It would have been fine if Vegas got eliminated in 6 or 7. I'm like, all right, at least you made it respectable. But to lose the way they lost in 5? What the fuck was that? Seriously, what the actual fuck were you doing, Vegas? Are you fucking snorting coke the entire fucking time and not paying the fuck attention? And Jesus.
Correct me if I'm wrong too, Maddie, because you would know more than I would. There's nobody. I bet you if you would have polled 1,000 diehard hockey fans from all over the country, there might be 999 people who would have picked the Golden Knights. I mean, nobody. We were talking. I remember when the Flyers were still actually playing in the playoffs. We looked at our struggles, and then I'd look at the Golden Knights and be like, "Oh, they're just like we're not even humans. They're like gods compared to us. Like we shouldn't even they skate on ice. We should skate on the damn pavement." Like we're playing roller hockey with a stick and a rock. You guys, it's like watching the movie Miracle. It's like the Russians. You know what I'm saying? What are they? They're playing a different sport over there.
It's like the caste system in Hinduism. We're the lowest caste. We're the untouchables. We're not even worthy of being here.
No. If we would have gone to the finals, we got to be doing the thing from Wayne's World. Like we're not. I mean, it's not even fair. So for them to go from that to we're like, nah, we don't need to win this year. Dallas, go ahead and take it.
But it's funny that I mentioned Hinduism because karma caught them like a motherfucker because they were talking so much shit on social media, shit posters and everything. They were fucking getting into it with trolls and stuff. I'm like, that's what you get. That's what you get for being a shithead. That's karma coming back and biting you in the ass. You took Dallas lightly. Dallas shat on you and went to the Stanley Cup Finals that you should have been in. That's karma. That's karma.
Yep. Exactly. Failure.
Yep. On to Colorado. This one's tricky. I'm not going to say fail. I'm going to say success. It's not their fault they got eliminated. They got hit with injuries. Yeah. That was what killed them at the end of the day. And they still competed against Dallas. It was still a 7-game series, so they tried. They gave it every fucking bit of effort they could. And I know Don's going to hate on me for saying that. It's like, yes, I know you hate the Avs. Trust me, I get it. As a Detroit fan, I know you never want to see them win a cup again. But I got to be honest, man. Colorado, it was a successful year for them.
I got it. Sorry, Don. I got to agree with Maddie, too, because I'll compare it to my beloved. Actually, I won't just compare it to my beloved Philadelphia Eagles because I could say it with all 3 of my other teams, the Sixers, Phillies, and Eagles. I can relate to a team that's been decimated by injuries. I can relate. I see it. It is our life. It is our life, okay? So You see them respond to adversity. It's not their fault. It was just a wrong timing thing to where we. Part of me says like, oh, maybe it's not fair that I say this, but I'm going to say it anyway because it's true. You can't judge a team based off of when you have a decimation of injuries. You can't, especially when it happens at the worst time. So I can't call it a failure. And there you go, Don. There you go. That was coming.
Nope, man, you're right. It's a failed abs.
Oh.
and Don also said, bro, Gary Bettman gave Las Vegas a freaking all-star team and still lost. Bye-bye. Oh, that was great. And it's just funny because that's 2 times now Vegas has choked and really sucked the big one when it really mattered. And I'm not even going to count the first year. First year was magic. Last year, they lost in that 7 game against San Jose where they literally are up 5-0, had that 5-minute major, and the Sharks tied it up, and Gallant never called a timeout like a fucking jabron. And then they take back the lead, Sharks tie it back up, and win it in overtime and eliminate them in Game 7, which made me laugh my fucking ass off when that happened. And this made me laugh just as hard when they lost at OT to fucking Vegas. I was like, what the fuck was that? But anyway, but that's it for the teams that are not here. Before we close this out, Rye, one last thing. Dallas, if they lose, success or failed season?
Oh, God, that's a great question, Maddie. I can't call it a failure for this reason, okay? And I'm going to say this regardless of how many games it goes. I'm going to compare it to the Golden Knights thing. Nobody expected Dallas to still be playing. Nobody did. I mean, hell, even if you put some friggin' the Dallas Stars fans in that poll, I bet you they would have still voted Golden Knights. They're playing a series where nobody in this country, maybe on this planet, thought they would still be playing in. I understand, especially as fans of teams to where, Maddie, we could talk about 2010. We could talk about 2009 with the Phillies. We could talk about 2004/2005 with the Eagles. When you get to a championship but you don't win it, it kind of takes you a while to think, as soon as you don't win it, you think, man, this was a failure because you got in the doorsteps of a championship, but you didn't win it. But
yeah,
I will tell you at the end of the day, and people disagree with me, your goal, it's easy to say your goal as a team or a player, whatever sport you're playing, is to win a championship. It is. But the thing that nobody realizes is, and I think is the bigger goal because it's easier to achieve by a small margin, it's to get on the doorsteps of winning a championship, a la getting to the finals or the champion. That's it. Because like we always talk about in sports, all you want is an opportunity, and all you need sometimes is an opportunity. And the Dallas Stars got it. Regardless of how this series ends, they got it. And they played, they were the final 2 teams. And like I said before, nobody would have guessed that, in my opinion.
No. I mean, honest to God, no. Especially after the round robin, and they didn't win a single. They won 1 game, and they got lucky when they did, and they just looked like shit. And they're like, "Is this team even real? Is this team even existing right now? This team is just here. It's like Washington. They're just fucking here. They're just meant to be cannon fodder." And next thing you know, they're in the Stanley Cup Final. I'm like, how the fuck did that happen? But that's the story of Dallas. But you're right. Successful season for them. And you're right, sometimes not getting a championship does mask, and sometimes it overburdens you and say, oh, it was a failed season. Like, not really. Considering the fact that no one thought you were going to get there and you probably shouldn't have been there. Yeah. You absolutely, it's a successful year. Exactly. So, final one, Tampa. If they lose somehow, is this a failed season? And I'm going to say yes, it's absolutely a failed season if they don't win this Stanley Cup this year.
You know what's funny? And I love it, Maddie, because you're one of the only people on this platform that could do it to me. You are going to get me to absolutely contradict everything I just said about 30 seconds ago. I'm sorry. I'd be lying to myself. I just went on that 2-minute monologue talking about, we just try to get on the opportunity. No, if they lose, that's a failure. They fail. And again, it's about opportunity and execution and also expectations.
Yeah.
We've been talking about, I've been watching you guys talk about, everyone in the country's been saying the Tampa Bay Lightning are legit. When are they going to figure it out? We talk about how they collapsed last year, being the president. I mean, it's the same mirroring image as the Capitals. It's like, oh, okay, once the Capitals moved aside, Tampa was like, hey, Washington, hold my beer.
Yeah, you want to see a shit performance in the postseason? Oh, we got you.
Yes, and it's going to be for a longer period of time. And also, like we talked about, it seems that Tampa is kind of on the fast track to win this finals and win the championship. If they don't do it now, compared with the expectations, it's a damn failure. It's a damn failure.
Yeah, and you're right, because the difference is, it's like, you know, we're looking at Dallas and we're saying, damn, man, good on you. You're kicking ass and taking names. Good on you. We're looking at Tampa, we're like, oh, it's about fucking time. Took you fucking long enough to get this shit going.
Where have you been? Where have
Yeah, that's literally the difference of attitudes right there with both of these teams. But you know what? It's going to be real interesting to see how this Stanley Cup Finals shakes out. I still think Tampa wins it. You know, and if they do win it, it'd be great because it makes me look like a fucking genius. It makes Rob look like a fucking genius. Half a genius, though, because I did get the other half wrong. Colorado's not here. But still, I got the cup winner right. So I want to be right for once. I want to get the cup winner right. I've never gotten it right a day in my life, and I want to get it right this year.
Yeah, well,
at least.
Hey, at least you can say you went way farther than I did because I had Bruins Golden Knights, so that ship has sailed. It sailed a long time ago.
Yeah, like we said before, Dallas was just saying, fuck your bracket.
Yeah, much. And Bruins are like, hey, you picked us? Screw you.
Yeah, the 1 year you actually think we're going to do something, fuck you, Flyers fan. We're not going to do shit. Joke's on you. All right. Well, that will do it for this edition of the Hockey Happy Hour. Obviously, Rob, thanks everybody who had to peace out, take care of some business on his end. Ryan, thank you for jumping in here to close out the show with me.
Yeah, this is fun, Maddie. A little change of pace. It's been a while since we've done this, so this is fun.
It has been. I think the last time it was, I think I was producing the fix.
This has been like 3 years too late. I mean,
I know. Jesus. Well, I mean, hey, anytime you're producing, man, feel free to interject any wisdom that you want to throw out to somebody, or, you know, if you want to call somebody out, feel free to do that.
I listen. I am the. Somebody called me in the chat the other day, and I might run with it. They said I am A2D's orchestrator of chaos. I feel like I'm just gonna. I'm gonna have like a name tag once this friggin' pandemic ends and we can actually go near people again. I'm gonna like show up to the studio and it's gonna have my name tag. Ryan Brodo, A2D orchestrator of chaos.
and when you're producing the show, you're the director of destruction for that current moment in time.
I love it. Thank you, Don. Always a pleasure, sir.
Yes, thank you, Don. It was awesome, man. And thank you, man. It was fun for us, too, man. It was fun having you on. And it was fun for everybody, from Rosca to Don to, I don't know where Prism was. I was shocked he wasn't here today. But hey, thoughts with you.
Yeah, he was saying he checked in earlier. He was at work, so he'll probably be checking in with us later.
Oh, okay. Well, then, hey, Prism, love you, man, and hope to see you next week, brother. And for anyone who was new, thank you for chiming in. We appreciate the comments. And anybody who is a regular, of course, we thank you very much. And if you want to support us, there is a way to do that. This is where I would cue Brian, but he's not here today. So... But yes, phillydrinkers.com/A2D radio. If you go on to that link right there onto your fancy little phones or your fancy little computing machines, you know, you can get some merchandise. And we've got all kinds of. We've got mugs, we've got t-shirts, shorts. I mean, we've got it all there, man. And all the t-shirt designs we have are just kick-ass. They are just beautiful. Between the freaking QB Factory one, the A2D New World Order shirt, you know, we got the Hockey Happy Hour ones that Prism's been sporting, which is kick-ass, you know. just great stuff. Great stuff all around.
And I'll add this in there. I'll try and do Brian's job, even though he does a very good job of this. And that, yes, Brian, that was a compliment. I know you're going to hear this later and probably go and be like, "Oh my God, did Brodo compliment me?" Yes, it's late. So
You'll never hear the end of it next week.
yeah. Listen, Brian, it's late. My head's spinning. You know what I'm saying? The Eagles are 0-2. I don't know what I'm saying at this point. But I will say this. Shout out to the guys over there because now we've got a fall line, A2D fall line. We've got hoodies, sweatshirts, blankets, socks, all great stuff. And also, to Maddie's point, all crazy, really fun designs that were made by A2D personalities. So where you can rep things that were made by us, Philly drinkers. They're awesome over there. To where I'm talking about, not only supporting us, but obviously supporting those guys and Alex over there. To where they're awesome people. They really truly are.
Yeah, so shout out to you guys over there, and thank you to Philly Drinkers. And hey, guys, if you want to support the show, head on over, buy yourself some merch, and rock yourself some A2D gear. And hey, man, if you want to, feel free. Shoot it into the Real Talk group and feel to shoot it at us, and we can post it up on our Facebook page if you're sporting your gear. You know, absolutely do that. Prism shot us a text message, actually, shot a Facebook message over to Bri and showed that he was wearing his hockey happy hour stuff. So you know what? Feel free to do that, man. We'll be more than happy to show you guys.
Absolutely.
All right, then. So that is Philly Drinkers, where you can support us. We also do have our sponsors. We do have Specialized Physical Therapy, but we have one other, and that is Ambuck Services. Listen, man, I know that the pandemic, there's a little bit of worry of that second wave and everything, but if you've been taking precautions and you've been careful, there's no reason why you can't have a couple people over and have yourself maybe a last-minute barbecue while the weather is pretty nice outside. It's been pretty good. It's not so cold that it's, that you can't wear your shorts, but it's not too hot to where you got to rip your freaking shirt off to feel like you've got any kind of airflow going on. So, it's perfect. Is what I'm trying to say. And at that perfect weather, you want to have a nice little barbecue, maybe a little cookout, maybe a little get-together if you want to have a Halloween show or what have you. You know what, man? Go to Ambuck Services. They'll get your deck all taken care of. They'll get your bushes trimmed, gutters cleaned. They'll do all that shit for you. So that way, the only thing you got to do is pull out the lawnmower and take care of the back and the front, and there you go. It's perfect. It's pristine. It is a palace, if you will. And you can give them a call at 856-879-5530. That's Ambuck Services for you. They'll take care of all that. Okay, guys. We thank you for joining us. And we thank you to everybody who chimed in and everybody who was watching. And if you were just watching, feel free to chime in anytime you want to. We're more than happy to interact with you. You guys are our lifeblood. Until next time, I'm Bat Sassuti. That is Ryan Brodo, a.k.a. the orchestrator of chaos, a.k.a. the director of destruction.
Yes, I love it.
And we will see you guys next week right here on A2DRadio.com for an all-new Hockey Happy Hour. Stay safe. Stay healthy out there. Wear your mask when you leave the house and when you go into stores. And we'll see you then. Peace, everyone.